Day 236 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump Administration. I'm not a self-help guru, just trying to help myself. Ryan asks, Josh, why aren't you a millionaire? Well, Ryan, I will tell you that there was a time in my life when I came very close to grossing $1 million one particular year, which, if adjusted for inflation, would likely be over $1 million. And I will add that that was during the most dark, most depressing, and most mentally, physically, and emotionally unhealthy time in my life. Now, I am not saying that I completely equate the amount of business I was doing to that emotional, physical, and mental state, but I do know that it taught me a lesson that acquiring money, acquiring property, and simply the act of acquiring, as defined within the bounds of capitalism, for me personally, did not make me feel good. It made me feel worse. I can't say that I'm not a millionaire because I learned those lessons, but I can tell you I don't have the ambition to become a millionaire because I learned those lessons. Personally, I have found that the creative life, the artistic life, the life that leads me to embrace other people rather than embrace other property is the way I want to live. That being said, I don't have anything against millionaires and billionaires personally. I love that Pet Shop Boys song from 1986 called Opportunities, Let's Make Lots of Money. And I think there are some ethical millionaires and billionaires out there, but it is a fact, and I know this from my own experience, that to get to that level of generating income, you have to do it off the backs of other people. It doesn't mean you treat employees badly, but they're employees. They are reliant upon you and your ingenuity and your work ethic and your ambition to have a steady income. And the more they rely on you, the more they show up every day and come through the door and sit in the chair and do the work you give them to do, the more money that is made for you. I don't know what would have happened if the financial crash of 2008 didn't initiate a change in how I was going to live my life going forward. But I look back on it now as a blessing, because now I do a lot less stressing and have more inclination to use my imagination and ignore the Trump administration. Day 237 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump Administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. Is day 237 the last day of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump Administration? Not if I can help it. I love ignoring the Trump administration. I have been seeing posts all day long about new community guidelines. Now, I don't know if making the world aware that I am spending 1,461 days ignoring the Trump administration is some kind of violation of community guidelines, but not only do I believe there is no way it could be, I believe that what I am doing by spending 1,461 days ignoring the Trump administration is a guideline for the community. If it so happens that I am no longer wanted around here by the powers that be, as is being suggested by some of my fellow creators, well, I will simply just have to accept that reality. But for now, I want to continue to spread the message that I have been spreading since day one of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration, which is a very simple two-part message. One is to spend less time consuming the constant and endless barrage of information that is put in front of our face 24 hours a day through the news media. And by consuming less of that useless information, we are able to reclaim that time, regain our mind, and use those resources to develop new expressions, create new curiosities, and initiate new interests in our lives and the world around us in order to better the lives of people we care about who may not be as strong as we are when it comes to ignoring the leader of the Trump administration and the Trump administration. Again, this very simple two-part message to me is no violation of community guidelines. It is the opposite of that. It supports the community guidelines. Think of me innocently like Amy Poehler as Leslie Knope on Parks and Recreation. She abides by the guidelines of the community, and so do I, even when I'm ignoring the Trump administration. Day 238 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. Hockey mom of 3 says, I doubt they care. They have way more important people to worry about. Well, thank you, hockey mom of 3. You don't happen to be Perrette Lemieux, mother of the Lemieux triplets, are you? That would be cool. I'm just kidding. I don't follow sports. This comment is related to yesterday's video where I wondered aloud if the rumors regarding new community guidelines on this platform may discourage someone like myself from making the world aware that I am spending 1,461 days ignoring the Trump administration. I was deeply concerned that perhaps I would now be violating those guidelines. But as of today, Hockey mom of 3 has assured me that I do not have to worry. I want to let you know, hockey mom of 3, that this comes as good news because I use this forum as a means of self-expression, which is the exact point I am making with this series in the first place. Which is, again, as I stated yesterday, to consume less information from the news media in order for us to reclaim that time and regain our mind to have more resources to devote to self-expression like this, hockey mom of 3. I realize I am a creator on this particular platform with shy of 10,000 followers, but not that shy. And when I reach 10,000 followers, if I reach 10,000 followers, maybe with your help, hockey mom of 3, I will be able to monetize this content, and perhaps that will give me additional resources by which to contribute to the world, just like you have done with your self-expression, hockey mom of 3, by taking the time to comment in the first place. Which, if we think about it, means I am important to you, at least enough for you to spend a portion of your life typing in a comment about how I am not important. Do you see the irony in that, hockey mom of 3? I hope so. And I also know that you understand what the word irony means, because if you are a hockey mom of 3, then you are certainly a supporter of children's education, which, based on the fact that you are watching me and commenting, means that you are ignoring the Trump administration. Day 239 of 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. Did you hear that TikTok is going to be banned again? Well, guess what? The word is that TikTok is here to stay. Were you wondering if it was even going away? We have been through this so many times that perhaps this series should be called 1,461 Days of Ignoring the TikTok ban, fam. Not quite as catchy as 1,461 Days of Ignoring the Trump administration, if you ask me. I find that while I have expressed over the last few days how I do enjoy this platform as a means of self-expression, I also, on the other side of that coin, have to confess that the hypocritical nature of the treatment of creators, and specifically their creations, is unprecedented on TikTok when it comes to social media apps. It seems very arbitrary how and why certain content is pushed and certain content is not pushed. But I'm not complaining about any of this because I feel grateful that you are watching this right now and you are listening to this. Hey, don't scroll away, stay right there. You are watching this right now. You are hearing this right now. And because of that, you are allowing me into your life. And I am happy to have you here in mine to once again reiterate that this exercise is simply a means to an end. We are being inundated in the year 2025 with ceaseless information that we are supposed to evaluate on a non-stop basis. And what are we doing when we're evaluating it on a non-stop basis? We're not living. And moreover, when we are evaluating information that while it may not be disinformation, while it may not be misinformation, it is information nonetheless, which occupies time, which occupies our mind. And to what end? To what end? It is like if you lift weights every day in order to have a more fit body. While lifting to have a fit body is a good thing, it is only useful if you use that fit body to enhance the joy that you get out of living. Because if you are simply just trying to look like Arnold from 1974 on your deathbed, well, what is the point of that? So, the next time you find yourself in a workout situation, please keep this in mind to keep ignoring the Trump administration. Day 240 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. I am going to repeat a phrase that I've repeated previously. The internet is not real life. I would like to repeat a phrase that I want to repeat, that I'm going to repeat, that you can repeat, that we can repeat. The phrase is, the internet is not real life. Unfortunately, for some people, however, the internet is real life. And if they allow the internet to become real life, when they actually encounter real life after becoming convinced that the internet is real life, they find out that real life is not the internet. The reason we have radicalized people roaming around out in real life, and I didn't say radicalized on one side or another, because there are fucking weirdos everywhere. And frankly, there are fucking weirdos who don't even pay attention to politics or anything else. The reason we have people such as these roaming around is because they have internalized the radicalized life that they have come to believe is real when they are out in these streets. The chances of you or I encountering people such as these is small, but some of these people are in our government. And once again, I do not claim that they are on one side or another, because I am of the belief that to even become a politician in the first place, you have to have something very wrong with you. Who the hell would want to be part of that world? You would be better off being Truman on The Truman Show, where at least you are a character in an idealized fictional society on TV, rather than a radicalized fictional society on the internet. I want to remind myself and you today that the internet is not real life, because when you step outside your door, no matter where the hell your door exists, you will encounter kind people. You will encounter welcoming people. You will encounter optimistic people, because that is the majority of people. It is a shame that we do have so much negativity out there in the nation. But it is not even close to being the majority, because the majority ignores the Trump administration. Day 241 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. Have you ever used the word hamburger? Well, if you are a North Korean, which you are not if you are watching this, you have to stop using that word because it has been banned for being too Western. I guess if they had McDonald's in North Korea, the Hamburglar would be named the beef between bread burglar. You can look up the news story if you like, but there is no reason to because I am sure you understand by now that in North Korea, citizens have very little freedom to think for themselves, much less to say what they want or eat what they choose. I have mentioned the 2023 documentary Beyond Utopia previously. Watch it if you dare. I ask myself when I see stories like this, and I ask myself when I see the controlling, paranoid behavior of the leader of the Trump administration and the Trump administration, I ask, why do we live in a world where we allow men, mostly men, who are just the same flesh and blood as any other, why do we allow them to have any control over our lives? It is a question that I have had since I was a little boy. I remember in first grade, a teacher trying to tell me what to do. And even though I was 5 years old, I had the good fortune to have learned how to read before I started kindergarten. And so I knew by that time that it was inappropriate for anyone to tell me or anyone else what to think, what to say, or how to be. Just like I don't assume that I can do that to anyone else. If the world is to be governed by leaders, those leaders should possess the ambition needed to be elected and the humility to respect the electorate. The leader should be the most humble member of the constituency. Now, at the age of 53, I continue to wonder why we have given men, mostly men, power over our thoughts, power over our words, and power over our deeds. I am not offering a solution. I am not offering beef between bread either. Frankly, plenty of people out there seem to want to be controlled, but I will never understand why someone would want to be in that situation instead of ignoring the Trump administration. Day 242 of 1,461 days of ignoring the Trump administration. I am not a self-help guru. I'm just trying to help myself. I never watch Jimmy Kimmel. I stopped watching late night television when David Letterman went off. I grew up with David Letterman. I found his show hilarious. But after he was gone, I never watched late night TV again. I have never seen a single episode of Jimmy Fallon or whoever the hell else there is. That being said, I checked for myself, and Jimmy Kimmel should not have been taken off the air because what he said didn't warrant him being taken off the air. But that is not what the leader of the Trump administration and the Trump administration cares about. They care about silencing anyone who is critical of the leader of the Trump administration and the Trump administration, as stated by the leader of the Trump administration today when he said all they do is hit Trump. They're not allowed to do that. Well, yes, they are. But we know he thinks this anyway. It is not a surprise. How do I remain mindful, optimistic, and hopeful amid this latest development? Well, I remind myself that it is simply their turn. They want to do the canceling this time around. They think that when they got canceled, the reasons for them being canceled were as stupid as we think the reasons for Jimmy Kimmel being canceled are. In this particular case, if I were Jimmy Kimmel, I wouldn't have said jack shit. And not because of fear, because what he said wasn't really that funny anyway. I don't continue to watch late night TV because no one is as funny as David Letterman. I remember this bit where Chris Elliott came on there and a member of the audience asked him which is lower in cholesterol, peanut oil or corn oil. And Chris proceeded to drink what looked like 2 bottles of oil. And of course, it wasn't really 2 bottles of oil, but it looked like 2 bottles of oil. And after he got done drinking 2 bottles of oil, he said, "I can't tell a difference, Dave." You should look up that clip. It's on YouTube. What I'm saying is Jimmy Kimmel should say whatever the hell he wants about anyone he wants to say it about. But in this WWE world we are living in, it is the heel who currently holds the belt. And that heel is going to do heel behavior until such a time that a face comes around and defeats that heel. It always happens. Consult your history book after you check out that Letterman clip. So until that time, we will have to live in the real life wrestling ring of retaliation. And my closing move is ignoring the Trump administration.